Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later because we've got 4 individual toys to take a look at today. Yes, the Age of the Primes 4-pack landed in the UK just yesterday. It arrived at my house in the morning, and I've been enjoying them quite a bit ever since, but there is quite a bit to say about each of them, and plenty of comparisons to be done as well. So let's get into all of that and see what they're all about, and be sure to let me know your thoughts on this set as we go. I think it might be the best 4-pack that we've had in recent generations, but what's your take? Do you agree? Or not so much? Kicking us off today is this guy. It's a mini Ultra Magnus, a repaint of the Legacy G1 Universe Optimus Prime, and I really enjoyed that toy, and lo and behold, I really enjoy this one as well. I think it looks superb. As before, I really dig that head sculpt, although I love that they've included the blue mouthplate on this version, which is very classic to the 1986 Ultra Magnus toy, and the light piping looks spectacular here as well, with those shining red eyes. Much better than on the Optimus Prime, actually. Like, it really catches the light quite nicely if you shine a little light above it, so that's superb. Chest all looks fantastic, lovely moulding going on there. He's got these nice kind of smoky brown windows, which I really appreciate, and that feels quite authentic to the original as well. Little Autobot tampo on the shoulder. It has got a pin through it, but that's not the end of the world. Now, as with the Optimus, there's no chrome or anything like that, but there is a little bit of silver paint going on, so that's a nice touch. And somehow I'd completely forgotten that they did this on Prime, but it has rubber tyres, like little rubberfied tyres, which is just a bit of a miracle in this day and age. Love it. And yeah, generally speaking, I love what they've done with this guy. I've always been a big fan of the white Prime in armor thing as an option for Ultra Magnus, so I know that we don't have the armor here, but I'm still enjoying the Prime. Now, as with the Optimus, he comes with 2 different guns, which are meant to look like different versions of the G1 Prime gun. That is a little bit of a strange one because the original Magnus had a different gun, of course, which some people are going to poke holes about, but it is what it is. I don't mind that too much. Quite weird to see how the guns are layered in paint though, so they are a very tight fit inside the fist, like really, really tight. And again, just why are they painted? I don't really get it. Like, I'm sure there must be a reason, but it does make them quite a stiff fit in those hands. Anyway, whatever the case, he looks really good with them in hand, that kind of dual wielding going on, so that's pretty cool. Alternatively, you can stick one of the guns out the way on his back and then bring in this little blue energy axe instead, which just clips into his palm. Now, as on the Optimus version, it doesn't quite cover the bottom of the fist, but it's not a major problem, and it does look really nice with that blue translucent plastic. There is also a little matrix included in the chest here, which is really nice. It's painted silver, it's got a little bit of blue translucent plastic in there as well, so I absolutely dig how that looks. And it's a nice little inclusion as well. I guess he can deal with it right now. Otherwise, you know, he's great fun and quite poseable. I mean, he's got this little weird flap just there on the kind of crotch area, which I did find a little bit of an oddity on the Prime, but I'm just about getting used to it now, I think. Generally speaking, though, he's got all the articulation you could really want for, and I think he's great fun to mess with. I absolutely love this robot mode. I think it holds up really nicely versus the Prime. I think I might actually like it a little bit more, if anything, dare I say. Like, the red and blue version felt like a real surprise success for me of recent generations. I've been having a great time with it. It's fun, it's poseable, it's enjoyable to transform as well, and again, I think it really benefits from this white Prime Ultra Magnus repaint. I love that they did it. I hope that they do it in many more colours besides. And just as that original release made a really nice accompaniment for the classic G1 Optimus Prime toy, so too does this one for the original Ultra Magnus. And again, there are a few little differences to that original. I mean, it is lacking some of the stickers. Admittedly, my original Ultra Magnus here doesn't have the full sticker sheet applied for reasons. I can't remember why right now, and it does have a slightly different gun as well, but there's no doubt that it's a very fitting homage to that original toy, so I've absolutely got to love it for that. I think they did a brilliant job with this one. And you know, considering that we've already been very well served for the cartoon-inspired Magnus idea, you know, the all-in-one with the Studio Series 86 release, I think it's pretty cool that they've gone back and kind of referenced this kind of classic toy-style thing where it was the white Prime in armor. Does kind of make me wonder if some enterprising outfit will do some sort of upgrade kit for this, you know, like a little kind of trailer armor thing that can be combined onto it. I think that would be great fun to see, but for now, it's a white Prime. What's not to like? Now, to get this guy transformed up, first of all, you just want to fold the little head away and then close up that backpack. Now, on the Prime, I found these fists to be a bit of an oddity, and it's the same here, where they're a little bit stiff to start with, but you kind of got to fold them down, fold them round like so, and then fold them back up. It's easier to do than on the Prime, but there is a little bit of give that's going to happen with that in time, I think. Then once you've done both sides, you want to fold those arms back and kind of into place, and then fold them round at the front, just kind of over the wheel, and then make sure that all kind of clicks into place. As on the Prime, I do find that a bit spongy. Like, I really wish that that just clicked better into place just there on those tabs. It really kind of has that bit of give to it, which is annoying. Anyway, then you want to fold those feet up like so, and then start clicking the 2 legs together. They will kind of click, and then fold it up at the rear, and jobs are good. And you've got one little mini Ultra Magnus cab ready to roll, and it looks pretty fabulous. Definitely quite noticeable how those arms don't really slot in properly. I really wish they tab better than they do. That is annoying. But you know, by and large, this thing's pretty tidy. It rolls really nicely on all 6 wheels, so that's good, and I really like how it looks. I mean, sure, when you compare it with the G1 original, it doesn't have the chrome and the die-cast and that kind of stuff, but I didn't expect it to either. You know, I knew what I was getting here. I'm really pleased with it, and overall, I just think this Ultra Magnus is a win. Next up, we got this little slice of fried G1 heaven, and this is a real oddity. It's Bumper, and believe it or not, this is actually the first Bumper toy that has ever been officially released in Transformers. And that's because the original toy was a Takara micro-change hand-me-down, much in the same way that Bumblebee and Cliffjumper were, except this guy was never actually slated for a release. He was only found on Hasbro 1984 Cliffjumper card. So was it a mistake, or did they just have some stock lying around? No one really knows, but the point is it was never released with an actual name, just the fan-made portmanteau of Bumble Jumper, you know, Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, and then that was shortened to Bumper later down the line. So it's a real oddity, and as I say, the fact that they brought it back for the first ever official toy of the character, so weird, and 40 years in the making. Now I often find that there's still a lot of confusion about this, so I want to be ultra clear about what we're dealing with here, because the original Bumper mold was not the same as Bumblebee or Cliffjumper. So Bumper was a Mazda, very separate mold to the other two. Bumblebee is a Volkswagen Beetle, again completely separate mold. Cliffjumper is a Porsche 924 Turbo, and again a separate mold. And then you also had Hubcat that was released in 1986, which is a retool of Cliffjumper, just without the spoiler and a new head as well. But by and large, the original 3 that all came from Microchange are separate molds and separate car models as well. Anyway, enough with the history lesson. Here we are with the new toy, and of course, yes, it's a retool of Studio Series Bumblebee, although perhaps not to the extent that some people might have liked. I still think it looks really good though. That new head design is the bit of retooling that you can find going on here, and I think they've done a great job with it. They kind of really interpreted the original head design to kind of look quite nice, and now he's got a little blue visor as well, so I dig it very much. Otherwise, you know, this guy's pretty solid and chunky and feels really good fun as well. This is actually my first experience of the Studio Series 86 Bumblebee mold. I don't have the original, but I really like it. I think it's great fun, as I say. Got his rather neat little blaster weapon there, which just pegs into his hand, or indeed can be stowed away on his backpack, just as you would put it on the rear of the car mode, so that's pretty neat. I also think he just has Minibot vibes, right? Like, it feels very much like a modern successor to the classic Minibot mold. It's got all the kind of awkwardness and those weird proportions, you know, the big feet and everything. I like how they've interpreted the ankle tilt and things like this, and yes, I know it doesn't have much retooling from Bumblebee, but the fact that it has that sort of square boxy roof for the car mode, which is very Mazda, can I say, actually makes this robot mode feel quite Bumper to my eye. I mean, let's talk about the car mode, which means getting into it with transformation. So the first thing you want to do is just fold his little head away, just like so. Then we can just untab this backpack section and kind of raise that up, sort of vaguely into position. This next bit's super clever. This really got me. The wheels come out to the sides and then rotate round to kind of bring them into position, and then you want to fold the arms up just into place like so. And then that kind of gives you the space that you need to kind of work the back of the car up into place. And then you just bring those sides with the wheels and everything down into the middle to kind of meet there, and then just peg the little arms together and just make sure that's connected on the back bumper as well. Next, he's got these little black bits on the bottom of the feet that just need to be folded out like so, and then just tuck those little clip pieces in. The back of the feet, which are the doors, just kind of swing out, and then that black piece folds in. And then this is another cool little step. As you start to rotate that foot forward and kind of bend the whole leg back, you see that a part of the bonnet starts to emerge from underneath, and I think that's very swish how that happens. Anyway, then you want to rotate that waist piece backwards, just kind of clip that in just in the middle there, and start rotating the feet into place as well and getting everything tabbed. Make sure those feet are tabbed in the middle, and jobs are good. And I think that's a very fun transformation. I absolutely love it. That's one that I'm going to be doing back and forth quite a few times, let me tell you. As for the car mode it spits out, well, firstly it rolls really nicely and it's suitably compact and kind of squished chibi proportions, you know, like for a G1 Minibot. But people have really had something to say about this because, well, firstly, again, it's not a retool. There are no retool parts at the front here, so some people are calling this a Volkswagen Beetle, but let me be clear, this is not a Volkswagen Beetle. And let me explain what I mean by that, because yes, there are elements of this toy that are a nod towards the original Beetle design, chibified as it may be, and that does include the whole kind of bonnet piece here, the very kind of rounded bit, and the bumper and the kind of wheel arches and things. So yeah, there is a fair bit of this car mode that is quite Beetle-ish. Still not one-to-one by any means, but yes, Beetle-ish, I would say. But just as you can place it next to Bumblebee and think, oh look, there are a few bits that are quite similar, you can do the same with Bumper, I think, because the whole top of that roof, which is very Mazda familiar, is exactly what's going on here. So there are commonalities here as well. Yeah, there's a lot of Beetle elements, I get that. Although it's more of a kind of a interpretation, like a squished interpretation of a Beetle, if anything, and actually the cartoon was pretty accurate to the Beetle form in that regard, so this is a sort of weird smush of a Beetle, if anything, but the roof is Mazda familiar. So I don't know what this is, really. It's a Volks Mazda or a Mazwagon, whatever you want to call it, but it's been designed very clearly to work as both. Like it or love it, that's just the reality. And look, I want to be really clear here, because none of this is me saying, oh, it absolutely works as a Mazda, either, because obviously, yes, it's a merge of the two. So all I'm saying is that if it worked well enough for you as a Beetle, in theory, it should work well enough as a Mazda as well, because it's truly a bit of a mishmash of both. So, I don't know, it's all opinion-based, right? So, if you don't like it, you do you. For me, it works well enough. I mean, at the end of the day, we're living in a world where these two toys come in the same box, and there's no real sense of real-world vehicle scale or anything like that going on, right? So, I think I can handle a little bit of a weird hodgepodge of a car mode. This isn't alternators and vinyl tech at the end of the day. Anyway, we're 2 down, and what can I say? That's 2 good toys in a box so far. Next up, we got the largest figure in the package, and that is of course the animated Nemesis Prime, a slight retool of the animated Optimus, and I gotta tell you, I think this thing looks absolutely smashing in its robot mode. Fantastic head sculpt on this one. Yes, it is a retool from the original release because it's now got the faceplate going on, which I think makes all the difference. I love that they did that. Really nice silver paint, great little kind of green accents going on in there for the main face, really nice red eyes. It's a banger. Chest all looks really good as well. Got some nice paint going on here with the little red and green accents. These windows look fabulous. You got little bits of red up the top there as well. That's all really nice. You got plenty of colour going on the arms, including little bits of red and green on the fists and elsewhere. You got the little Decepticon tampo as well. And just one thing I wasn't really prepared for with this mold is the size of it, because it's a lot larger than I thought it was going to be, actually, having never held it before. And I really like it for that. It's got quite a big presence to it. He feels sort of suitably imposing versus some of the other toys in the box, so absolutely loving how it looks and how it handles, actually. Really nice and articulated. This axe weapon is super cool as well. Dig the translucent red plastic going on there, nice little bit of molding and everything, and I just think it looks superb. There's several ways that you can hold this, because you can kind of have this smaller axe, or the whole thing kind of telescopes out for a bit of a longer double-handed affair, so that's very good fun. You can also just peg it onto his back just here for when it's not in use for a nifty little bit of weapon storage. And yeah, I don't know, it's such a strange one, because I really wasn't sure what I was going to make of this animated mold. I haven't picked up any of the recent generation's animated figures at all, so this is a brand new experience for me, and actually I really dig what's going on here. It's just something about the size of it, and he's like so articulated. I'm absolutely loving it. I think it also kind of helps that he feels quite different from the original Takara Tomy Black Convoy, which I've done a video of on the channel, by the way, if you want to go and check that out, but I absolutely adore that version, and this feels quite separate to it for the use of the green and things like this. It's like a bit of an original take, so I definitely like that they did that, but still, it's got the kind of same vibes, it feels like a real chunky monkey, and there's nothing really not to like about this robot mode. I think they've done an excellent job with it. Definitely a few quirks in the transformation and alt mode though. The first thing you want to do is just fold the feet down like so on this sort of hinge just there, and then bring this whole half section of the leg down, and that just kind of folds around to the side like so. Then this is the bit that really got me. You want to fold that foot back and over, and then kind of peg it in to either side of the leg. Next you want to separate it at the knee just there and kind of rotate that round. And with both halves done, you can sort of lock them together in the middle just there. Next thing you want to do is take the backpack and kind of fold all of that up and out the way. You've then got these pieces on the sides that just want to fold out with a bit of a click, and then you want to rotate this whole bottom section kind of out like so, and then fold it that way. And now you can finish folding those back panels kind of down, the feet and everything, the legs, and kind of clip that in at the top there. Then you can start on the arms, and that includes folding the hands away and just clipping that back in. Then you want to get that whole front of that cab section, just kind of fold that down and out the way before rotating this arm around like so, and then actually just folding it in half and it kind of tabs in at the back just there. And then this bit's really clever. You want to fold that arm kind of at the shoulder joint and then rock that whole piece up into place and make sure this wheel section folds down and clicks in. And once you're done on both sides, the head kind of sits in the middle, but you do just want to make sure that these are clicked into place. And then on the rear, if you've got the legs in place, then they will just kind of clip in, tab in just there. You've then got that roof section, which just folds over and kind of sits neatly in place. And that just leaves folding up the front of the cab and making sure that that all sits into place. And I did find this bit quite difficult to kind of get it all situated, but it can be done. There's just a bit of finagling that's required there, but once you get it just in the right place, it will kind of tab in. And you're done! And it's a very weird truck. It's, I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. It's an oddity. It's definitely an oddity. I mean, let's start off by saying I've seen some funky Optimus Prime truck beds in my time, but these feet is a whole other level. I don't know, I totally was waiting for more to happen with that, and it never did. So, I don't know about that as a solution, gotta say. It's also quite strange how they've interpreted the wheels, because you do have 3 sets of wheels here, 2 at the back, which are very much the rear wheels, and then these little kind of, I think they're like faux wheels at the front, just there, but that's not really how the traditional toy did it. It had 2 sets of wheels instead, and here they've gone with 3, and it's a strange choice. It just ends up looking a little bit odd. I don't know, I mean, it rolls really nicely and it's all very stable and everything, so that's good, but I just can't lose the fact that there is a set of wheels just here, and I don't think there's meant to be in terms of like the animation model or whatever, so I don't know really how to interpret that. I mean, on the original it was very much 2 sets of wheels with the front set much closer towards the bumper, and I guess that was for stability, and admittedly that's not quite how the cartoon did it either, but it sort of made sense to me that in terms of a toy interpretation. Whereas here, just with that extra set of wheels and these 2 wheels further back, it's a strange choice. I don't know, it's not bad by any means, but it's just one that takes a little minute to get used to once you realise what's going on. So I guess by and large this is fine, I guess. It's definitely not my favourite vehicle mode that I've seen in kind of recent generations at all, but yeah, it's not quite doing it for me, I gotta say. I'm not gonna let it kill the vibe too much though, because to be honest, that robot mode is so nice. The transformation is actually really good as well, like really, really good fun, so I see what they're going for here, and generally speaking, I think the vehicle mode looks nice in terms of paint and finish and things like that, so it's a decent toy still overall, just the vehicle mode is a bit of an oddity. One thing is for sure though, it's when you line them all up that you realise what a strange set of toys this really is, but still we're kind of 3 for 3 at the moment. They've all got their merits, so let's move on to Horri-Bull. So this guy is inherently so strange, right? Like it's a retool of Titans Return Skull Smasher or Skull Cruncher or whatever you want to call him, and it's bringing back those old Titans Return molds yet again for the completion of what actually is the 1988 Headmasters. And it's been quite the journey this, because in order to get to this point you have to have bought 3 4-packs, right? And they've got a bunch of other toys that maybe you don't even care about just to assemble this lineup. And it's a strange one because I do get the impression that a lot of people don't even realise that it's meant to be a lineup like in the beginning, but yes, these 3 were the 1988 Decepticon Headmasters, or the Junior Headmasters if you prefer, and it's kind of cool to see them finally all lined up. As for how successful Horri-Bull is as an individual figure, well, let's take a look. I do absolutely dig the face sculpt going on for this guy. He's got the little gold faceplate there, he's got the little red eyes, that all looks fantastic and quite close to the 1988 original actually. Now being a headmaster, he's got the speed, strength, intelligence readings on his chest just there, although they don't do anything. Like if you pop the headmaster off, nothing changes, so it's just the sort of facsimile of that gimmick, that original gimmick, which did change. These readings would move when you remove the headmaster on the original, so it's a nice nod I guess. Otherwise, you know, there's a few little pops of colour with like the pink and things like this, but by and large he is very kind of grey. He's got this kind of dull browny grey going on, which is again quite accurate to the original. It's not kind of discoloured or anything like that, but it's a lot of dark blue and kind of other murky colours, you know? There's some definite hollowness on areas such as the back of the legs and kind of here and everything as well, but that really doesn't bother me too much. I mean, it feels a little bit flimsy, but it's not too bad. It's got the bull's head just kind of hanging off the back there. It doesn't fold down or anything at all. I mean, that is kind of accurate to the original, kind of how it sits there, but some may think that's a little bit strange. It's one of those things where it's accurate, but it still looks kind of odd, I suppose. But you know, by and large, I kind of like how this guy looks, you know? It definitely kind of fits the character. I think they've done a good job in terms of the retooling to make it feel suitably different to the original mold. So yeah, overall, it's not a bad job, I think. Now, one real quirk of this one, and a point we do need to talk about, is these horns, because these are actually painted, which is fine. Like, I get why they've done it that way, but it leads to a few problems. Now, firstly, the reason I think it's painted is the only other pink bit are these claws on the sides of the arms, and I'm guessing that they just wanted to save a bit of money without having to cast in another colour plastic. So as mad as it sounds, yes, these could have been pink plastic, you know, casted there, but they will actually save a bit of money without having to flush it all out and cast in another colour, so I'm guessing that's the reason anyway. Where the oddity really arises is that they come on this sprue in the box. You have to remove the horns before placing them onto Horri-Bull himself, and the whole sprue is painted, which does lead to a little bit of a problem. Because yes, you can probably see just here that those are very visible sprue marks where the paint just obviously hasn't carried through because it was on the sprue at the time. So that is a really strange choice in my opinion, and definitely kind of has that cost-cutting vibe to it. I just don't think that was the right choice. You can probably see there is another little mark just there behind the head on the front of the horn, and it looks like a paint chip, but that is just from the sprue. And it's just a real shame because otherwise the presentation here is pretty good by and large. I just think that painting those two sections, even the claws, was a little bit of a choice. I'm not sure that was necessarily the right way to go, but for better or for worse, that's what they've done. So, and obviously this guy does have the little Titan Master, which you can just see there. He's a fairly neat little thing. And I like that they gave him two sets of guns as well, just like on the vintage original. I mean, this one is kind of like the beast mode tail in the alternate mode, if anything, which is a little bit strange, but I think it's good that they included the both. And here you can see him with that original 1988 toy, which is not discolored at all. On my copy, that is the original colors of that toy. So it is a little bit different on the new version. Yeah, it's a slightly lighter, kind of murky brown. The blue is a little bit darker, the pink is not quite as vibrant, but actually I think they've done a fairly good job at kind of retooling this thing and kind of interpreting that original robot mode. It doesn't look too far off, if anything. And yes, it has been a bit of a process getting these three. You know, I do think it's a strange tactic to kind of make you buy 3 4-packs to assemble this roster, but hey, I guess it's working for them, and I've no doubt that if they do the Autobot equivalents, it'll be much the same thing. Now, to transform this guy, of course, first you just want to remove the headmaster, but then it's a very simple transformation. Just fold those fists in like so, and then rotate that forearm down, and then the claws. Take the beast mode head and fold that into place, and then rotate that round. Got these bits on the bottom of the feet that just want to fold out to the side, and then you want to fold the legs back, but the first thing is to just unclick that knee, and then that enables you to fold that whole leg piece back into place like so, and then if you get it lined up, there's just a little tab just there on the side, and just make sure the two back halves of the legs kind of tabbed in just there. It's not a perfect fit, but it will go. And then you want to fold these back beast mode legs kind of into place, and then you want to tab the tail in. Now this is a little bit of a fiddly process, but it will go quite nicely if you've got it all lined up properly. And there we go, there's Horri-Bull in his bull mode, and it's kind of horrible. I kid, but it is a bit of an oddity. I mean, the back legs are noticeably smaller than the front legs, like proportionally there's a little bit of a weird one going on there. The back legs themselves are very simple and kind of perfunctory, I suppose, and it's not bad, but it's not knocking my socks off either. Like, there's something about these front legs that just really doesn't work for me. It's so obviously a pair of like oversized claws just hanging off a pair of robot mode arms. I don't know. Beast face is pretty good. I mean, he's not as angry as I might have thought that he would be. Like, he's fairly kind of, I don't know, neutral if anything, but at least he does have some painted teeth, so that's a little bit of a surprise on the top at least, not on the bottom. And the jaw does move, so you can kind of open and close it like so. Again, I've no wish to go on about it, but those sprue marks are just a little bit of a killer. I really wish they hadn't done that. And this whole back section just never really feels like it's tabbed in properly. Like, there's a very visible gap between the two leg halves, and it just doesn't have the kind of proper fit that I might have liked. There is also, by the way, nowhere to attach the extra gun, which just feels like a bit of an oddity in this day and age. I don't know. Feel free to at me if I've got that wrong, but I cannot find anywhere to put it. At the very least, you can kind of stow it here underneath the kind of tail piece, you know, just kind of tucks in there, kind of underneath the legs. So in terms of storage, that's an option. I mean, I'm not going to say what that looks like. I'm not going there. No, I'm not going there, I promise. But it's an option, I guess. But hey, if you want to, you can store the Titan Master as well. There's like a little trap door just there, and then you can take the little guy, kind of plonk him inside, and close that up, and there you go. He's hidden away inside his box. So does that work? I don't know. Now, sadly, I'm not going to be transforming my 1988 vintage original today because the neck piece here is a known breakage point, and I'm just not in the mood for that today. I can't even tell you. But at least you can see a comparison between the two beast heads. This has definitely got more of the kind of Ghostbusters vibe that a lot of people talk about with this figure, whereas this is more kind of generic bull, like Monster Bull, I think. It doesn't have quite the same quality to it. I do kind of prefer this for something a little bit different, but this is fine. And then here you can see him with the rest of this trio, and well, I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, I think it's probably the weakest beast mode of the three, in my opinion. I know some people weren't that keen on squeeze play, but I actually thought they did a really nice job with that, and this is fine. It just feels a little bit of a box ticker, if anything. But hey, look, the trio's complete, what can you do? But my god, what a strange set of toys, right? Like, I kind of like this 4-pack thing, and I feel bad saying that because the part of me that wants to run into the street and decry capitalism just realizes what they're doing here. But at the same time, it is kind of fun. Like, you really get kind of like a bit of variety in these boxes, so if you can find it for a decent price, there's definitely a lot to like in this one. I do think that it probably is the best 4-pack that they've done so far. I mean, if we're talking toot or boot, then I'd probably be giving it 3 toots and a boot, and I think you know which one I'm talking about, but hey look, I'll probably still end up keeping Horri-Bull just for the sake of completionism, right? But overall, it's a decent set. I really like what they've done with the repaints especially. I think those are all really, really cool, and it's given me the opportunity to experience some new molds, and I'm a big fan of the Magnus, and it's the first ever bumper toy, so there is a lot to be said here as well. I think they've done a cracking job with it overall. But what's your take? Do you like what you see here? Not so sure? Do let me know in the comments, and otherwise I'd be very grateful if you could leave me a like for today's effort, please, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But otherwise, that is it from me, so have a great rest of your day, and TTFN.